everyone, this is Isha and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. So, on this occasion of New Year, I realized students of class 10th and 12th will actually be giving their board examinations pretty soon. And this time, this mid of January is actually the time when different schools will be marking the end of their pre-boards. That means you all will be given a final span of 1.5 months approximately to give it your last shot. And being here just 2 years back, I can actually guide you with some tips and tricks on how to study during this period. And more importantly than sharing what I did and what all worked for me, I would like to share what I didn't do and realized later on that I should have done. And for the students, for different kind of students, I have different tips. Different kind of students means the students who have completed their whole syllabus by this pre-board, and secondly the students who are left with a few chapters and they need to complete them after pre-boards, and thirdly students who are left with most of the chapter or the entire syllabus and they have to start everything from scratch. Yeah, people like this also exist. So I have separate tips for all of these students. So for this, make sure you stick till the end of the video. And now, without wasting any further time, let's get into it. Firstly, identify your study pattern. See the hours when you are comfortable studying in and fix that, and every day go back at that particular time and study. For example, if you set the time that you will study from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., every day at 7 a.m. go back and study without fail, no matter what. And by following this routine, over time your mind and body will get habituated, and every day you will at 7 a.m. you will feel like studying. And fix your comfortable studying hours when you are comfortable studying in. Some people like to study at night, some in the morning, some like to study at night after everyone sleeps, some like to study in the morning before everyone wakes up. And if you're someone like me, I like to study when there is sunlight, I like to study in bright light in the morning. So see your comfortable hours when you like to study in, and every day without fail go back and actually study. Secondly, do not compromise with your sleep. Now you're going to study for over a month, and during this period you cannot afford to compromise on your sleep. And unless and until you don't have proper sleep, proper rest, your body will not function well and will not give the most of it. And in this time you want to be most productive, most efficient, and want to get the most out of you. And for this to happen, you need to have a proper sleep, a proper rest, so that the next day your body functions well and you can study well. So have that proper routine. And if you set up the time that at 11 p.m. you are going to sleep, no matter what, at 11 p.m. you should be on your bed and sleeping. And it's so important for you all to have 6 to 7 hours of sleep for you to work efficiently, and so do not compromise on that. Now you have set a proper study time and proper sleep time. The next important thing for you to realize is that you set realistic goals. I know this whole span of 1 month is going to be based on you setting goals and targets and achieving it and completing different chapters and different subjects. But it's so important that you set realistic goals, the goals that are achievable for you, and you not end up setting goals like you're going to complete 3 chapters in 3 hours when you know that you can complete only 1. So avoid setting goals like this, because at the end of the day when you're going back to sleep, you don't want yourself to panic. Oh, आज तो ये करना था, मैंने ये complete नहीं किया, and next day I have other targets as well. What am I gonna do? I cannot complete my syllabus and all that. You want yourself to sleep peacefully, right? So set achievable goals and actually achieve it and sleep in a peaceful manner. So the next important thing is eat healthy and have a lots of water. I know पढ़ते वक्त बहुत भूख लगती है and बहुत कुछ खाने का मन करता है, but avoid having junks, a lot of junks. In the morning, avoid having oily food because that kind of makes you sleepy and you cannot afford sleeping in the morning. And then avoid consuming coffee because I see a lot of students during this period having coffee so that they can compromise on their sleep. Do not do that. And always have a lot of water. It's so important for you to keep your body hydrated. So if possible, keep a bottle of water near you on your desk, maybe where you're studying, and have lots of water, tons of water throughout the day. Now, I know sitting back at home and studying all day long for a span of 1 month is quite exhausting and horrible, and there are times when we feel like not studying anymore, not giving it anymore, not doing anything, and I know we have all been through this feeling. So to overcome this, I have a few techniques or a few tips for that. So firstly would be studying in a clean environment. Most of the time when we don't study in a clean environment, we feel like we feel dull and we feel not studying anymore. And cleaning the whole environment actually sets you up with a good aura and actually helps you concentrate more. So make sure wherever you are studying in a clean environment. Be changing your environment. Sitting back at the same place and studying all day long actually exhausts you. And maybe changing your environment, maybe if you're studying on your desk and if you go to your drawing room or maybe your dining room or some place in your house where you feel comfortable studying in, you will feel better. You will get a new vibe, a new place, new environment, a new vibe, good vibe, and that will actually help you going back to the flow of study. Fourthly, if possible, go for a walk every evening. Sitting back at home and studying all day long is quite horrible and exhausting. So, if possible, go for a walk. That is a great idea to recreate your mind, to refresh your mind, and to deal with stress. Yeah. So these are a few tips which you can adopt when you don't feel like studying anymore. Make sure that you have some relaxing hours when you don't study at all during the day. You don't make you stick yourself with books all day long and have some relaxing hours. And I've seen people asking that if they can afford any distractions, whether they can use their phone, whether they can be active on their social media. I think this time when you are actually taking a break from your study, you can have a look on your social medias, you can use your phone actually, or maybe, what I preferred was studying in the morning and in the evening. So during afternoon I used to take break, and during that time I used to use my phone and even take a nap probably, and yeah, relax, have a relaxing time during the day. Next is solving a lot of test papers. So test papers are so important, and actually this time after pre-board, the time you get is actually the time when you solve a lots of test papers. I suggest for each subject you solve maybe 5 test papers on your own, and for subjects like maths solve 10 test papers. And for if you have subject like maths, I suggest keeping maths in your routine every day, maybe for just an hour, because maths need constant practice, regular practice. Now, the time for the test, for which I have asked you all to stay till the end of the video. So, firstly, the students who have completed their whole syllabus by pre-board, you guys are quite awesome, and I don't need to advise you much, but I'll still advise you something, that you deal with the questions and chapters that you find difficult right now in the days which are left in January. Secondly are the people who are left with a few chapters, and I remember chapters like chemistry in everyday life in chemistry and communication in physics that no one studies during pre-board. this is the time when you study it nicely. I know these are easy chapters and are marks fetching, and we leave them for the end. Do not do that. Study it right now, because right now you have time of a month and you can afford going to a new chapter. And do not study it with your like you study the regular chapters. Do not solve with ये दूसरे books से. Solve NCERT and go to previous 5 years, solve those questions, and you will be good to go. And thirdly are the people who need to start from scratch. Now, the whole year you haven't studied at all, and you need to study from the beginning. You haven't worked hard. Now it's time for you to work smart. So I will suggest you look into the blueprint of every subject, the chapters which contain more marks. Go into that firstly, and the chapters which are going to give you marks, means अगर तुम ये chapter पढ़ लोगे तुम्हें तो marks आनी है उस chapter को पढ़ो. For example, if you are studying physics, I suggest before going to the first book, go to the second book. Start with ray optics, because ray optics and wave optics से बहुत questions आते हैं, तो तुम उन्हें पहले means during this time of January तुम ray optics पढ़ सकते हो. तो you study optics and then go to modern physics and then semiconductors. बहुत लोगों को बहुत हॉरिबल लगता है, जो लोग बहुत पहले से पढ़ते हुए आ रहे होते हैं, बट semiconductors is the chapter that can actually give you marks. For students who haven't studied at all and need to start everything from scratch. Now, the whole year you haven't studied hard. It's the time for you to work smart. The first and foremost thing that you need to do is take out the blueprint of chapters and see the chapters which have more weightage. This is the first thing you need to do, and you need to study that particular chapter which has more weightage. And secondly, you need to study the chapters, those chapters which will definitely fetch you marks. That if you will devote your hours on that study, if you study that chapter well, कोई भी question हो तुमसे बन जाना है, ऐसे chapters करो. Now, for example, if you have subject like physics first book के पहले 2 chapters बहुत important है, that questions भी आते हैं, but you need to study that chapter well, and that will take time, and you don't have time as for now. So what you will do, instead of doing those chapters, what I will suggest that physics का second book उठाओ, take the second book, go on to the chapters like optics. First and foremost, study optics, both ray optics and wave optics nicely, thoroughly. Study the chapter. If you don't have the whole time to read the chapter, watch videos or tutorials to get the overview of that chapter, and then move on to questions. Take out previous 5 years questions maybe and solve them, and then after optics move on to modern physics. Modern physics, if you are going to study that, you are getting free marks, means अच्छे से पढ़ लो तुम्हें marks मिल जाने वाली है. And then move on to semiconductors. जैसे हमारे जैसे बच्चों में means they hate this chapter semiconductor, but that chapter is actually the chapter which is going to give you marks. And then after that is communication. So completing this whole second book and then moving on to the first book. नीचे से शुरू करो. EMI, that is a chapter that are going to give you marks. I guess electromagnetic induction and electromagnetic waves, ये 2 chapters थे. So talk to your friends which are the chapters. Means अगर तुम physics में पढ़ रहे हो तो electrostats and what else, current, these are the chapters you need to do at end अगर तुम्हारे पास time बचा तो. In chemistry, what I'll suggest, inorganic कर लो अच्छे से, and then physical और organic में कोई भी एक छुओ and उसे करो जो भी तुम्हें whichever you are comfortable in. And what else? In maths, go on to chapters like AOD. Don't jump on chapters like integrations. इंटीग्रेशन से बहुत मार्क्स से क्वेश्चन आते हैं, मैं मानती हूँ, बट इंटीग्रेशन तुम्हें फंसा सकता है एंड यू वुड नॉट बी एबल टू सॉल्व क्वेश्चंस मे बी इवन इफ यू प्रैक्टिस इंटीग्रेशन अ लॉट. चांसेस है कि जो क्वेश्चन एग्जाम में पूछे इंटीग्रेशन से वो तुमसे ना बने, इसलिए डोंट जंप ऑन दैट. अगर इंटीग्रेशन पे जंप करना है, स्टडी AOI, application of integration, and you are not going to lose marks on that. 3D, vector, matrices and determinants, these are the chapters you need not ignore. Functions and what else? Linear programming, 6 marks से क्वेश्चन से आने ही आने हैं and these are easy marks. तुम अच्छे से इस पे जोर लगा लो, मीन्स मेहनत कर लो तो तुम्हें मार्क्स आने हैं. सो एंड इफ यू आर अ स्टूडेंट फ्रॉम कॉमर्स और आर्ट साइड, सॉरी आई डोंट नो सब्जेक्ट, बट यू कैन अप्लाई द सेम थ्योरी ऑन योर सब्जेक्ट्स एंड स्टडी दैट. तो तुम्हें बहुत अच्छे मार्क्स तो नहीं आ जाएंगे, लेकिन पासिंग से बहुत ज़्यादा आ जाएगा. तो दैट इज़ वॉट इज़ नीडेड. सो दैट वॉज इट फॉर टुडेज वीडियो. आई होप कि तुम्हें ये अच्छा लगा हो, पसंद आया हो और बेनिफिशियल रहा हो तुम्हारे लिए. एंड इफ़ यू आर समवन जो 12th पास कर गए हैं, 10th and 12th, and you have some tips to share with these students, don't hesitate to comment them down below in the comment section, and I see you next time. Bye.